And here to explain more about Iran's attack, we invite Cohost. He's the former lead intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance coordinator for the U.S. Army and the host of the Weekend Explained podcast. Cohost, it's great to have you with us here. The Wall Street Journal reported that Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states provided intelligence that was key in disrupting Iran's attack on Israel. Can you explain how all that information is typically gathered and transmitted?
Yeah, definitely. So what happens here is through back channels, you'll get a lot of the intelligence leaderships from these countries to contact their counterparts, and they'll pass that information along. And this was actually calculated. Iran did this themselves because they could not afford to have an escalation here against Israel. So they provided to the Saudis, to the United Arab Emirates, to other countries this information. That information was then passed to the United States, to the Israelis, and that's what you saw during this attack. That's how it was thwarted so well by the Israelis.
Yeah, they were able to get their air defenses up and running in order to anticipate this and take down that attack. Does that say anything more about the support that Israel is receiving in the region?
Yeah, look, it was a miscalculation by Iran to coordinate this type of attack because it shows that now Iran is isolated, where Israel was isolated just a week ago. There was condemnation from the UN, there was condemnation from other sources. Now Israel is the ally in the Middle East, and Iran looks isolated. Even Russia has come out and half-heartedly condemned the attacks that were there. They basically said, you should have provided that to us on Ukraine as opposed to doing what you did with Israel, knowing all of these were going to be destroyed. And we saw 99% of the projectiles used destroyed in this situation.
Yes, very impressive. And some of those interceptors were able to actually go outside of the atmosphere to take down those incoming missiles. Biden's officials are warning that an Israeli response could trigger a wider war here. What do Israel and its partners need to weigh when choosing a counterattack to avoid this?
Well, personally, we've analyzed this as three different types. So you've got de-escalation, which is what the diplomatic realm is trying to do on the international circuit. You've got retaliation, which is what Israel wants to do. And then you have escalation, which is what Iran could do. And right now, it looks like retaliation is almost certain. We're at a 99% chance of retaliation from Israel. But that doesn't mean munitions sent to Iran or even the Iranian proxies. That could be cyber attacks. That could be so many different realms of sanctions and things of that nature that could really continue to isolate Iran.
Can you explain a little more about the relative punishment here? Israel supposedly took out Iranian generals, whereas this 300 aerial hardware coming to Israel basically just damaged some buildings here. So what's the comparison?
Yeah, I mean, there is no comparison, but this was the plan all along. Iran knew that if they were going to do this, they could not have widespread damage. They could not have widespread deaths that we've seen in other strikes. They had to be very calculated about this. Now, I do believe that Iran went about it the wrong way. They could have done a more targeted strike on other sites within Israel and maybe didn't have this sort of isolation they have now. Look, Jordan, a country that's been on the fence during this the entire time, came out and opened up their airspace. That is a direct strike towards their relationship with Iran.
Right here, and now we are looking at China and Russia that have reportedly been involved in bolstering up Iran. Are they in some way involved in Iran's apparent retaliation?
Yeah, Iran's talking to the leaders in Russia and China through those same back channels. They're letting them know what they're going to be doing. And honestly, Russia's providing intelligence to Iran by using their Shahid drones in Ukraine over the last 2 years. So this is a very similar style of attack that Russia has used on various sites in Ukraine. And that intelligence is being passed on to the Iranians.
Well, Cohost, former lead ISR coordinator for the U.S. Army and host of the Weekend Explained podcast, thank you for this update.
Thank you.